Hi guys, and welcome back to another video for Phantasy Star Online Blueburst. In today's video, what we're going to be looking at is some fairly efficient ways of trying to level your character up faster. So a few people have recommended this as something they'd like to see. So if you've got any recommendations for videos, by all means leave them in the comments. I will try and do what I can for you. So today what we're going to look at is a few different ways of leveling up. So we're going to cover some quests that involve spamming them quite a lot of times to make them efficient. There's also some quests that have large enemy counts that we'll look at. But we're also going to look at some other things you want to bear in mind as well if you are trying to level up. And the main reasons you'd want to level up fast in PSO is in early game you mainly want to level up fast so that you can get to the level requirements to do ultimate mode or just higher difficulties in general. And also if you want to go for the maximum level as well and go for a level 200 character. Now, if you are going for a level 200 character, I do need to point this out for the people who may not have done it before. There is a lot of work involved in going for 200. So what a lot of people don't realise is that to hit the midpoint for experience for level 200, you actually need to get to level 182. So once you get to, what that means is once you get to level 182, you are halfway to 200. And you then need to earn all of that experience again to get from 182 to 200. So it is a huge grind in the late game. When you get into level 190s, you are talking multiple millions of experience to level up. I think it's 4 million experience or so to level. It gets really, really hard later in the leveling process. So if you just get into ultimate, you probably won't have an issue with this. But if you are going for a 200 character, just be aware of that the experience required does ramp up a lot later on. So the first quest we're going to look at is an episode 1 quest, which is called Towards the Future. And what Towards the Future is, it's commonly abbreviated to TTF. And it's almost infamous, to be honest, as a quest for power leveling. So what TTF is, it is basically an episode 1 boss rush. So you do a little bit of Forest 2, you fight the dragon. You do a little bit of Caves 3, and then fight Durrell Lair. You do a little bit of Mines 2, and then fight Volopt. And then you do a little bit of Ruins 3 and then fight Dark Faults, and that's the whole quest. So because it has a lot of bosses in quite a short space of time, it's really, really efficient for leveling. Now, if you are going for outright speed and just want to level as fast as you possibly can, what I would probably recommend is just doing Forest Dragon runs in TTF. Because the experience you get from the dragon, by spamming it over and over again, usually works out a little bit faster overall. It's not the most exciting way of leveling up, but it is definitely one of the most efficient. So what I'll do is I'll load into a TTF run now for you. So in episode 1, you just want to go to the quest counter, and TTF is under the VR category. And this is it here, Towards the Future. I'll load this in. Apologies if PSO is visually skipping a little bit as well. I'm getting a weird graphical bug with it today where for some reason it's not capturing very well. So apologies for that if it is showing up on the video. So this is TTF. So as soon as you come in, you just walk down the surface and take care of this guy in the middle. Now with TTF, you can see the door opened as soon as we killed that guy. If you want to make it even more efficient, you can just ignore the rest of the enemies here and just go straight through. But what I'll do is I'll do a full dragon run for you just so you can see what it involves. The only thing you need to be careful of really is just not to get surrounded. This is obviously pretty easy for my character because I'm level 150, so I am out leveled for this area. Just for context as well, when I started this run, I had 494,000 experience to level up. I mean, that should give you an idea, really, of how much the experience does ramp up later game. So I need around about 500,000 to level at this stage at 150. But in the 190s, it'll be 4 million. So it's like 10 times the experience, really. That's the first room done. So you come through this way. And you see we're only at like 1.5 minutes so far. Bear in mind, if you'd have ignored some of the enemies, you could do this even faster. So we come into this room, and there's a few more of these guys. Again, obviously I'm doing this in ultimate, but you can do this in any difficulty. And it will be efficient in any difficulty as well. Got a couple of wolves to take care of. And then after this, we get one more spawn. The only other thing about this spawn, because there's 3 hill delts, it's quite easy to get shocked. Obviously in lower difficulties, it'd be hill to bears instead, so you wouldn't have to worry about that. So that's the forest part done. So you can see it is only a very short part of the forest. Literally 2 rooms. And then we've got the boss portal. So I'll fight the boss. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, this is the dragon in Ultimate. But it's quite different overall. But what you can see is this isn't taking long at all. So we'll take care of this guy. We're actually invincible from our mag at the moment, so we can just take care of him here. Not the ideal place to hit him here, but it's all I've got access to. But it's working anywhere. What you can see here on the dragon is his health's not actually going down anymore. It's because he has a fixed thing where his health won't go any lower than that. It's basically a barrier, so he has to do this part of the fight. I think we might have got him there. There we go. So that's the dragon dead. Obviously, if you're low level, it's going to take you a little bit longer, but overall, the dragon, even in ultimate, is not a hard fight at all. That's the first stage of TTF clear. And you can see there's a portal there, which would take us to Cave 3. So after that dragon, I'm now down to 473,000. So it's around about 20,000 experience just from doing that. And it took me about 3 minutes overall. So you can see then it'd take us into Cave. We'd run through a few rooms of Cave and so on. So that's TTF. So we'll go back to Pioneer. So that 20,000 experience in a couple of minutes is pretty efficient. The downside of running that is it is very, very boring running it over and over again. But that is definitely one of the most efficient ways to level in the game. It depends really if you want to do the quest spamming over and over again. So that's one method of leveling. So the next thing we do, so we've loaded now into an episode 4 game. So episode 4 in general is just really, really good experience. So with episode 4, what you'll find is that the enemies will give quite a lot more experience than episode 1 or 2. And because of that, what you realise is you won't actually have to do a quest with as many enemies generally, because the amount of experience you're getting per enemy is more. So at the moment, we're just in a regular episode 4 game, we're not even in a quest. And if I go down to, let's just say Crater East, for example. So to give you some context of how good the experience in episode 4 is. So in episode 1 Forest, a regular enemy, like a Bartle in Ultimate, will give you about 260 experience. So we'll run here. So these are the same, basically the equivalent in Ultimate, in episode 4. So these guys called Booters. If we kill one of these... you can see they give us 398, so they're about 130 experience more. Again, if we run a bit further through, we've got some lizards, and we've got a barbooter at the back as well. The lizards are giving us over 400 experience, and the barbooter gave us 437. So you can see it is a very noticeable increase in experience from episode 1, and it's more than episode 2 generally as well. Now the downside with this is that obviously episode 4 is the enemies do generally hit a lot harder, which is why I'm using gelling on them. But I would say that once you're strong enough to do episode 4, the experience is generally worth it, even in very hard. I mean, to be honest, if you've just got into ultimate mode, you might even want to consider running very hard episode 4 because the experience is really, really respectable. You can see here, just by doing a few rooms of this, the experience is really solid. This isn't even a quest, this is just a regular run. So after that one room, we're down to 464,000. So, it is really, really good experience overall. That's one example of episode 4. However, once you've got strong enough to be able to do episode 4 comfortably, there are quest options as well. So I'm not really there yet. I can probably do creator, but I wouldn't recommend doing subterranean desert solo at this level, really. So if I go back to Pioneer and again go at the quest counter. So again, we're in episode 4. There are a couple of quests I'd probably recommend. So first one is this one, Point of Disaster. So Point of Disaster is kind of like a boss rush for episode 4, but it's because there's only one major boss in 4. What it is, it's a little run through. You do part of Crater and Crater Interior, you do part of Desert, and then you fight a boss at the end, which is either Shambatan or Condrieu, depending on if you get the rare one or not. That is really, really good experience overall because anything with the episode 4 boss in is good experience. That's probably the fastest way of getting to it. The only downside with Point of Disaster is it's a team quest, so you have to be a member of a team on PSO BB that has access to the quest. Now I am, so I can run it, but if you're just starting out on PSO BB and you don't have a team, you won't be able to access Point of Disaster. So I would really recommend trying to get into a team if you can, just so you've got access to that quest, and obviously it's more people to play with as well. Other good examples are these ones, the War of Limits quests. So these are quests that just have inflated enemy counts. So if you're comfortable doing episode 4 and you can quite easily handle the enemies, then I'd recommend doing something like War of Limits where the enemy counts are bumped up so that you can capitalize on the experience. There are also custom quests on certain servers as well. So all of the quests I've shown you so far have been ones that were on the official game when it was live. If you're on a private server, which you will be if you're playing it online, certain private servers will quite often have quests that have increased enemy counts as well. I can't really go into them too much because it will differ server to server. So there are quests that are specific on FNA. There are quests that are specific on other private servers as well. So I'm trying to cover the ones that you can be able to access anywhere. So that's one other example for episode 4. So the next one. So we've already covered TDF spam and we've already covered the episode 4 quests. So those are probably the main ones I would recommend overall. I would also recommend any quests that are referred to as maximum attack. So I can't remember if there's any in episode 4 now. Yeah, so in maximum attack, basically these will be in episode 1, 2, and 4 because they do quite a lot of these variants of the quests. Pretty much any maximum attack quest will have inflated enemy counts, so they're usually really decent experience. Now, other things to bear in mind. So, first one is about using what are called boost weeks. So this is specific to FNA, so I know obviously I've said that I won't cover custom quests, but I feel the need to mention this if you are specific on FNA. If you are on this server, basically there is a system on the FNA server. What I'll do is I'll just remove my webcam so you can see this easier. So as you can see on the FNA server on the wiki, what we've got is on the right hand side there's a weekly boost system, and the way this works is each week it rotates through one of these 4 boosts, and it makes a certain part of the game a bit easier. So you've got, for example, there are boosts that increase the frequency of rare and monster spawns. There are boosts that increase the frequency of rare drop rates. There are boosts that increase the enemy's what's called the drop anything rate, which is the chance of a monster dropping an item. But one of the boosts on FNA is an experience boost, and it's I believe is it a 25 or a 50% boost? It's a 50% experience boost. So obviously, if you can time your leveling with that boost week, you're obviously going to get a much more effective use of your time in PSO, and you're going to get a lot more out of it. So particularly if you're running a high enemy count quest in something like episode 4 or TEF, if you're running that during the experience boost week, you're going to get a lot more experience out of it. So just bear that in mind. Maybe just keep an eye on the wiki. This is just on the official FNL wiki. So just keep an eye on that. And it will tell you what the next boost coming up is as well. So it says on here that the next boost is the rare monster boost. So obviously if I was wanting to hunt something from a rare monster, I'd probably time it with that week. Now, another thing that I do on FNR as well is something called Raggle Boost Road, which is based loosely on something that was in PSU and PSO2. So what this is, I believe it's each month. Actually, no, it's each week now, each week. So they pick a couple of quests in the game, and those quests will get up to a 25% drop anything rate, rare drop rate, and experience rate increase, and it increases the more that you run it. So what you want to do is just keep an eye on which quests are featured in this system, and just try and run those as well. So at the moment, the 3 quests at the moment, so for the week of the 26th of November, it was Scarlet Realm 3, and Asmal World 3, and War of Limits 1. So you can see War of Limits is there. So that's a big enemy count quest. So if you run that, quite a lot, you're going to get really, really good experience from it, because you're going to increase the experience rate up to 25% more. Obviously, if you can combine the Raggle Boost Road quests with the experience boost week, that's going to be even better. So just try and factor that in when you're trying to figure out what to run to level. But basically, that's more or less all there is to it. So overall, I would recommend definitely run TTF, particularly when you first get into Ultimate as well, because it is one of the easier quests to do. Because you just need to be able to beat the dragon. And you can run it in one player mode as well, so you can run it with the lowered enemy stats. So I definitely recommend that that's probably one of the faster ways of getting through the lower difficulties and getting into Ultimate and early stages of Ultimate. When that starts to fall off, maybe consider doing some episode 4 stuff as well. Or you could even start doing full TTF runs if you wanted to. But generally, I would alternate between TTF, episode 4, and just anything with inflated enemy rates. I hope that's been relatively useful. If you've got any questions at all about trying to level in the game, just leave them in the comments below and I will try and answer what I can. But for the meantime, I'll call this one there. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video.